Welcome to the Sober Friends podcast. I'm Matt J. Over there is Steve. If you've ever wondered whether life can get really better without alcohol, you're in the right place. Whether you're new to recovery, have some time sober, or you're just supporting somebody you love, we're glad you're here. This is a podcast about sobriety, emotional growth, and learning how to navigate life without having to drink about it. Steve, what's going on with you?
Not much, Matt. How you doing today?
I want to talk about avoidance here because I've had a lot of anxiety about avoidance. We've talked about money issues before. I think there's some avoidance issues that I have that are tied up with that. Sobriety doesn't remove avoidance. It just makes it harder to hide from. I think this is especially true when you're in a program because you're kind of expected to do the work. You can't go crapping on people anymore without making an amends, and you've got to do the next right action. So I think to me, it's even more pressing when I'm avoiding something that it pushes even harder. Sobriety has made it really bad. It took the fun out of avoiding and doing the wrong thing. This is, I think, one of those things. I don't think the goal is to shame people. I don't want to feel shame for avoiding thing. I need to notice the pattern, talk about the truth, and then take the next right action. So I'm curious how this lands for you, and was avoidance ever a thing for you? Is it a thing for you now?
Yeah, avoidance was always a thing for me, and still can be, less so, but still can be. And just as you said, I mean, it's made it more, I don't know, not sure if it's made it more difficult, but it's made me more aware that I shouldn't be avoiding, right? That I shouldn't be avoiding doing something. Mm-hmm. And you know, my sobriety and AA in general, that program challenges me to do the next right thing, which is not to avoid things, right? Is to meet them head on, whatever the reason might be, and deal with them. And typically, I have found in my experience that the pain of avoidance and going through the suffering, not the pain, the suffering of me avoiding doing something is way worse than actually doing it. Mm-hmm. When I finally get around to doing it and cleaning up whatever mess I might think there is, yeah. It's way less than I thought it would be. And it's like, why did I wait for it? And I'll give you a perfect example. It's funny that we talked about it. This popped in my head. Due to what's going on in my life in the 2025 and into 2026, I had a dentist appointment for a routine cleaning back in March of 2025. I woke up with the flu and I canceled. I literally woke up with the flu. I canceled it that morning. My life changed in March, April, May of 2025. My wife had suffered broken leg and was really homebound for a long time. And one of the last things on my mind was making a new dentist appointment. And I finally got around to it a couple months ago. And I realized, like, by the time I get in a dentist, it'll have been 2 years since I don't think I've gone that long. One of the things that was happening is I was thinking about changing my dentist because my wife always went to the dentist. We have the same insurance. Her dentist would take our insurance completely. She never got a bill. And my dentist, I would always get a bill. So I was thinking, like, I should change dentists, like, why should I be paying this insurance? So that was a part of it. Finally, I got in there just yesterday. I got in there. A little bit was avoidance of me not wanting to change dentists, all that kind of stuff. And trust me, I was worried. I mean, I'm old, child of the 50s and 60s when, my mouth is full of cavity, full of fillings and stuff like that, because that's the way it was back then. And, lo and behold, I got out of there. Everything looked good. I really was on a good dental hygiene thing, but everything was good. But I had a lot of anxiety over it. Right? And this is what you're talking about, the anxiety. I had a lot of anxiety about going to that dentist appointment thinking, oh my God, is this going to cost me hundreds or thousands of dollars because I haven't done anything for the last 2 years, right? And then she looked at it and she said, yeah, it was September of 24, the last time I went to the dentist. Which, like I said, I haven't done that. I go every 6 months. I've been doing that for the last probably 30 years. More than that, maybe. So anyway, but yeah, that avoidance anyway, like I said, so what I find is like actually taking action is easier for me than avoiding. And even if it's a bad thing, right? Because then at least you address it, you move it, you get rid of it, or you deal with it if you have to go, if it has to carry on. And none of that goes away, right? Just because we're sober, just because we find sobriety, it doesn't mean any of that stuff goes away. And why should it? Normal people have to deal with that stuff. Non-alcoholics have to deal with that stuff. So we're not special, We just have to deal with what we have to deal with.
Now, here's what's special about us. We generally have less tools available to us when those situations happen, that it rolls off other people's back. With us, without treatment, it becomes a paralyzing thing. For me, it's definitely an ADHD thing, and I see as time goes by this handshake between the ADHD and addiction, that it is something that alcohol was the solution and the medication for ADHD, which was untreated at the time. And with ADHD, if it's a money issue, it's very easy for me to avoid. It's too painful. And then when that pressure builds, that is the thing that would make me drink, because it would make me feel better. It would relieve the pain. Well, I don't have that anymore. So I sure better take the next right action that is the right thing for me to do, because if I don't, I'm just going to be more and more miserable. Maybe today it doesn't get me to a drink, but it might tomorrow or someday, and these things may just cascade. And I do. I've got this flight that I got to purchase. We're now about a week out. And part of me has been delaying this because the fuel prices were just so high. And the price of fuel is starting to come down. And now it's like we're right at the end. And it's like, crap, what am I going to do? What if we can't afford it? What am I going to say to my son? And all of those questions go up. And the thing that happens is I just freeze. And then I do nothing.
Right.
And that's a form of avoidance. I talked in therapy this week, and I talked about, the thought process I have is if I just didn't have financial burdens, then I wouldn't have anxiety. But who is that the case for unless you're like a multimillionaire? And I think even if you're loaded, you probably have things that are hanging over your head. It's unrealistic to think if I just had more money, then I wouldn't have money anxiety. That's not the case, because the money anxiety comes from somewhere else. The question there is, what are the things that I can use self-talk to say, I have this, what action can I take? What things can I do? What's the worst that could happen? And get through it productively. So I had some stock. I started a little bit of a sell-off. I have some of that for the flight now. There are things I can do.
Yeah. And the first thing you didn't have to do, right? We talk about our program is, we talk about the steps, right? And step 3, made a decision to turn my life and my will over to God as I understand him, higher power as I understand him. But that's a decision, right? That's a decision. And we talk about first you have to make a decision, and then you have to start taking some action. So, right? So you found the solution, you made a decision, I got some stock I could sell, and then you took some action and sold it. And that gets the ball rolling. So again, that feeds into like our steps, right? It's like that's why the steps, we do them in the order we do them in, because we omit some stuff, we make some decisions, and then the next thing we have to do, now we have to take some action. We have to do a 4th step. We have to start looking at ourselves, right? And that gets us rolling. It's the same thing when and that's the whole point, right? So my program of AA gives me a solution for everyday life, right? I got to make a decision. Okay, got to make a decision, and then I got to take action. My wife and I are involved in the same thing, right? I have a pool that I need a new liner on. We finally got all our bids in. We go through that. We've added some other stuff that we want to do separate of the pool. And now it's like to sit down, like, okay, and I said this to her tonight. I'm like, hey, we got to sit down this afternoon after I do the pie, after dinner probably, and go through these things and go through the numbers, right? To let us, like, we both need to know, like, okay, this is what we're talking about spending. Now, we can afford to spend what we're talking about, but I just want to make sure. I told her, I'm like, one of the things these days is she lets me do a lot of that stuff. And this is just too much money that we're going to be talking about that I'm going to do it on my own. Like we just both have to know what the numbers are, and then we can say, yeah, we want to do this. We want to spend that much money and do these projects that we've been talking about. One of them needs to get done. We need to do my pool, right? I need to do that work. So again, but the program has taught me, and I told them, like, I have to go through this. I'll pull all the numbers together. We'll sit down, we'll discuss it, and then we'll make a decision, and that's what we'll do tonight. Now, I have this weird thing. I have a weird thing, and I don't know what it is, but I don't like to disappoint people, right? So I'm going to have to select a contractor to do my pool liner out of 3 contractors, all of which I talked to, and I basically got to tell 2 of them I didn't select them. That bothers me.
It bothers me too. I can totally
identify. It bothers me
with
that I got to tell these people who are perfectly competent, oh yeah, you're perfectly competent. I just can't. I'm just not going to choose you. And I don't know why that bothers me as much as it does. But I could have some avoidance with that too,
Absolutely.
So, but we'll do it, and I'll do it, and I'll send a note out. And that's a nice thing. All these bids come in through email, and I could send something out. Hey, thanks for the offer. We decided to go somewhere, whatever it might be. But it does cause me some anxiety. Not only the point, like, we're going to spend some money, we can afford it, but still we're going to spend some money. Our bank accounts are going to show the difference, And I told them, like, and trust me, we've lived in a house that we've lived in the house for 22 years. Like, there's work to be done, maintenance stuff, nothing falling down, refinishing floors, things like that, stuff that we need to do over regular time, some of which we've been talking about doing for a couple of years. And then again, my wife's health got in the way of doing some of that stuff. Now we got something we have to do. We have to do this pool liner, so it's going to bump some of this other stuff down the line. So there is anxiety around that, right? There always is anxiety. And lucky, and I talk about lucky for us, lucky for me, I still work, so it's easier to crunch those numbers and go, yeah, I can, basically in the next 6 months, I'll make enough money to sort of pay for all this stuff just because I still work, which gets me nervous about quitting work. I'm 68 years old now. It's like I'm going to have to stop working one of these days. That financial insecurity, today I know, I'm going to replenish that money. And, it's going to take a while, but I'm going to replenish that money. Once I stop working, I might replenish it, but it's going to take a lot longer, and maybe I won't be replenishing it. There will be a day where I'm just drawing. I'm not saving and putting money in, Mm-hmm. And that still makes me a little nervous. But the program tells me that all of these things are going to be okay. It tells me everything's going to be okay. It's not going to be perfect. It shouldn't be perfect because life's not perfect. I had a busy day. I've been really busy with some projects that I've been working on. Finished up the project that went on for a better part of 2 months. It was pretty good. I'm really happy with it. And then I went to my noon meeting today, which I love, and was able to talk to another alcoholic who's struggling a bit. Told my wife I'd be home, like she had a doctor's appointment, and I'm like, I'll be home by 1:30. It was pretty close to 2 o'clock by the time I walked in because this alcoholic was struggling, and we hung outside and we did what alcoholics do. We talked for half an hour, and I gave him some tips and suggestions that maybe he will, maybe he won't take. And I told him, I said, when I came into this program, somebody gave me a lot, and I told this person, like, if you want, just call me. I'm willing to give you as much time as you need because somebody did that for me. So, when I have a full day like that, I had like I said, I got some projects done, I got some stuff done, I go to a meeting, and then I have an opportunity to talk to another alcoholic. It's a pretty good day, and it allows me to separate and not worry about some of these other things that I got going around in my head. Just because I'm sober doesn't mean my anxiety goes away, doesn't mean my avoidance tendency goes away, doesn't mean my character defects. Maybe some of them do, but it doesn't mean all of them are going to go away. It means that maybe some of them won't go away.
This seems so obvious, but I need to hear that. And I needed to hear that early on, that if I have all these feelings going on, I'm doing it wrong. And I'm not doing it wrong, and you're not doing it wrong if you feel this way. It's just that you need to find the right path. I do a whole bunch of avoidance when it comes to reaching out to other people that I just can't get past in my head picking up the phone and calling somebody. It just becomes a task that becomes way too big, and then I can't do it at all, and then I avoid. I think for me, it is just doing that next task, breaking the task down into smaller parts. That's what tends to work for me. If it becomes way too big, then I shut down. If it becomes something I can do at the end of a bunch of small tasks, then I can. And just doing that next small task always makes me feel better. I had just raging anxiety this morning about this issue. And then I started taking some small steps. So I started taking some steps at work of other things I just needed to do, and just taking action on something, even if it's not on this particular issue, taking action on the next thing that I need to do, even if it's not related to this, made me feel better because I was getting out of my own head and I was taking an action and I was moving the ball forward somewhere. And I think I just need to have that feeling of moving the ball forward in some way is the thing that makes me feel better. And that really ties into do the next right action, which is an AA saying.
It's nice to be able to do that. And you hit on something that I think is really beneficial to a lot of people. And it's part of the conversation I had with this other alcoholic. It's that weird saying, of many weird sayings that we have in AA, move a muscle, change a thought, right? Mm-hmm. So what you talked about was moving something forward on a different project, right? That's what that is, right? Like you're stuck on this project, and I've been able to do that myself. You're stuck on whatever it might be. You're stuck on this thing. You're stuck on this trip you might have to take, the financial part of it. But yet you could be productive elsewhere. And just that makes you feel good. At least that makes me feel good. Like, oh, I got something done. I told my wife yesterday. Yesterday I had this huge day where I was working on this project, and then it was rainy, which was good because it was sort of like it's an inside project. And I always have that. I have inside projects and outside projects. And I always have a project going on. Just like I said to me, like, just because I got done with this project doesn't mean I'm done. Just means I move on to the next thing. But I was also able to do a couple things that I wanted to do. Small. I moved a light switch, right? I fixed an outlet that I needed to be fixed. And I told my wife, like, I should have a punch list. And I do in my head, but I don't write it down. And I said, I should have a punch list so that I could cross these things off and then show you everything I get done. Because she doesn't know, right? She doesn't care. Like, things just happen, and half the stuff she doesn't even know need to be fixed. But just so I could see that accomplishment, right? It's like a gratitude. It's just so I could see, like, oh, I've done a lot of stuff, right? And my point is that way I could feel good about it. And that way, because there's always something I haven't got done. Like, I started working around my pool and cleaning it all up. And this got derailed because the pool itself needed some attention. So that whole project of cleaning things up is still out there, right? And I'm like, okay, I got to get back out there and finish that job. But I was able to do some other stuff in the meantime. And for me, that just gives me a good feeling. It makes me feel good about myself. Again, I don't get stuck in that world where I'm feeling shitty, where I'm feeling like, ugh. I can't afford this. Oh, I'm going to spend all this money. Oh, how many times have I wanted to do a project in the house, and I just, even though it might need to be done, or maybe it was more of a want, I just couldn't pull the trigger on it, and it sat there forever, and it didn't get done. And I'm starting to realize that today. I've talked to my wife about that, and I'm like, we have to do some work. We have to pull the trigger on some of these jobs. Like, we have to refinish our floors, which, I mean, basically is going to mean we have to move out of our house, because there's no reason to piecemeal it. Like, we should just move out of our house, refinish our floors, and then move back in. Go get an Airbnb, move back in, and be done with it, because we'll never have to do it again, right? So, but that's a big, talk about anxiety.
Yep.
Talk about, trying to fit that in of, okay, I got to go out, we got to do all this kind of stuff. So it's easier to do nothing sometimes, and that is one of the jobs, right? Like, we've been working on this for almost 2 years probably, and it's like, I mean, that's what we've done. We've done nothing on it because it's such a big job. It requires so much, and that's not a money job that bothered like that. That wasn't a job where like, oh, the money was too much. That was like, what do we do with all this shit? Like, where do we put it? Literally, like, I can't move half of our furniture these days, right? That means I'm hiring people.
Yep.
Probably to come in. So, and it's easy. I talked to my buddy, our buddy John. He's like, yeah, it just becomes part of the job. And I go, yeah, I get that. Like, I get that. If I have to hire a couple guys to come move the big furniture, it just becomes part of the job. As does if I have to move out and go get an Airbnb for a week, whatever it might be. It does. But then the money starts getting bigger, right? And again, so it's easy to freeze up on those things, which is what we're talking about, having that anxiety, and then just do nothing about it. But that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And what that does for me, it takes away my serenity. Right?
Yes.
And I've always said it takes away my serenity. If I'm anxious, if I'm upset, if I feel like I'm not doing something, then I'm not serene. Right? I'm not this peaceful, joyful, happy person. I'm probably edgy. I'm probably short. I'm probably snappy. I'm probably mean at times. Like that's not the person I want to be. So it comes back to the fact that we need to take action because the cumulative effect of taking no action is a lot worse. Like I said, it impacts so many things in my life.
I have been avoiding getting my shingles vaccine because I don't want to lose a weekend because I'm afraid it's going to lay me up and I'm going to feel terrible for a couple days. So I've been avoiding getting it. And God forbid I get shingles because that's going to be a hell of a lot worse than a day or two of feeling lousy. Mm-hmm. But I'm avoiding that. But also, I'm prioritizing other things. I think there is something to be said of prioritizing something because you can't do everything at once, but you kind of know the things that you are avoiding.
Right.
I've done some things around the house that I've actually had has been helpful. There are things I always want to do, like I want to take the dogs for a walk immediately after work, but I also only have so much time to do some things around the yard. But if I don't do the things around the yard regularly, they build up. So I just said, screw it. I am going to tie up twine on the trellises. And I'm going to set a clock for a half hour. And I'm going to do a little bit of that. And I may not be able to take the dogs for a walk today. But I will have more time to do that later on because then I won't have to go into the backyard and do this stuff when it becomes something more overwhelming. If I get this trellis stuff done now, the growth going up takes care of itself. Yeah. So that has been a big change for me. And mostly because I'm understanding the ADHD triggers here, and this will prevent me from getting over stressed out. But I might be taking action, I might be doing an action because it is the excuse for me to be doing the thing that I should be doing. So I got to think of a bunch of stuff. What am I avoiding? And then what's the story that I'm telling myself? It's going to be too hard. I'm not going to be ready. It's not going to matter. What am I trying not to feel? Is it fear? Is it shame, embarrassment, uncertainty? Oh, the uncertainty is the worst for me. What is the smallest honest action? So make that small. Who can I tell? So I think it's really bringing people in. What do you think avoidance costs us? You talked a little bit about serenity. To me, they're really big emotional consequences here. For me, it's anxiety.
I mean, yeah, the consequences could be big. If, like I said, first of all, if I'm avoiding something and I'm not talking about it and I'm not dealing with it, I could get really I could get to a place where I'm snapping at my wife and I'm picking on my wife and I'm short and whatever it might be and I'm not happy with, I'm unhappy because I have this pressure. I have this internal pressure that nobody can see. I'm the only one who can feel it. And then avoidance can also be fun. It can cost you more money. Let's face it. If you especially if you're talking about a project. I mean, it could save you money, maybe. But most of the time, if you talk about a project you delay doing for 2 or 3 years because you're just avoiding, it's not going to be cheaper.
No.
probably not going to be cheaper to do it somewhere down the road. So, I don't know. I think, to me, the cost is too high. And like I said, I do better with it. I do better. There's not a lot of things I need to. There's not a lot of things that I have on my plate these days because of where I am in life that are crucial. Like I said, some of them are projects at home. Some of them are making some of those decisions. And today, some of my decisions are made for me, right? I get it. And when, I talked about it, and I don't remember if we talked about it, but like, I knew my pool liner needed to be changed. Like, I knew we were due for a new pool liner. In just a typical way, right? I've known that for 2 or 3 years. Like, we should think about changing. It's just hard to pull a trigger on a, multi-$1,000 job when you maybe don't need it. And then when I open up my pool and there's a 3-foot tear in it, okay, now the decision's made for me. Doesn't matter I could work on the cost. I could do some, I could do some due diligence and get some pricing, but you got a choice. Mm-hmm. Fix the pool and not fix the pool. And if I don't fix the pool, then, anyway. So sometimes those choices are made for me. And I said, and this is the beauty about this program. I had a bitch of a time opening my pool. I had lots of problems. Just everything seemed to go wrong from the beginning. Everything went wrong. But this program has taught me, I said, something? Number one, that's the way I roll. Right? Which means I needed these things to happen in order for me to address them, right? Because I just wouldn't address them otherwise. I've been talking about getting a new filter for a couple of years. Well, my filter, so it's like all this stuff is happening. And number two, it pushes me to realize, like, if I want to do some of the work and take care of some of it myself, I can. I have the gratitude and I have the insight to go, it's just not life sucking, it's just not like, life's kicking me in the butt every day, even though that's somewhat true right now. But it's like, it's like taking my own inventory, right? Really. It's like taking my own inventory. Oh yeah, this is how I roll. I probably wasn't going to change my pool liner until I woke up one day and there was a hole in it.
Yep.
And then I have to change it, just the way it works. So as long as I could accept that about myself, then there's not a lot of anxiety over it. I'm not happy about it, but not a lot of anxiety over it. If I didn't have a hole in it, I wouldn't be fixing it this year. It just wouldn't be. I know I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So,
sometimes it forces your hand.
Right. And again, there's lots of things like that, right? There's lots of things like that. And so today, and like I said, today I could have some gratitude. This is the whole thing about it, right? I could have some gratitude over understanding that about myself, where like in the past, and I'm not even talking about when I'm drinking, I was talking about when I'm early sobriety, before I was able to have a little bit of enlightenedness, if you will, of just self-realization of who I am as a person. I would not have been able to do that. I would have not have been able to have any peace or serenity over, spending multiple thousands of dollars redoing my pool. Now, I hope the job come out wrong. The last time I had a liner done, it was one of these jobs that went horribly wrong. The guy did a poor job, and I've dealt with it for the last 12 or 13 years. This is this is an opportunity to change that and feel good about this and feel good about my pool. So I look at these things now today in a very different light, because I'm sober, because I have a program, because I have tools, all those type of things. On my own, just like I said, on my own, I couldn't do it. I need the fellowship. I need the program. I needed to show up at my meeting today, and the reading was about a full and grateful heart, and hear everybody share about having a full and grateful heart, and realize, I need to have that too, no matter what's going on in my life.
Well, this week, don't try and fix your whole life. Just name one thing you're avoiding and tell the truth about why, and take one small action. If you want to pass along to help the next person, you can reach out with takeaway, Matt@soberfriendspod.com. Steve, thanks for helping me through this avoidance stuff.
You got it, Matt.
We'll see everybody next week. Bye, everybody.